welcome to another brand new edition of T Watches a Scary Movie. My name is T, and of course we are talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for this brand new episode. Remember, episodes are guaranteed to go up every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, but it is the Season 3 finale. Yes, folks, I told you a few weeks ago there will be changes coming to the show with the new season, and it's the season finale. Let's talk about what you can expect in those changes. So first of all, I'm not going to call anything a new episode anymore because that's all I put out. Like, I'm not doing a live show yet, so literally everything I drop for y'all is going to be a new episode. So we're going to stop calling things that. But on Wednesday now, the Wednesday episode is going to be dedicated to me covering things like movie news, opinion pieces, interviews, and my giveaways. So those are going to be the only things that are going to come out on the Wednesday night episodes moving forward. I am still going to release a bunch of extra horror content throughout the week. You are guaranteed to get a minimum of 2 reviews, but I'm really going to try to make sure I'm giving more like 4 reviews a week. But Wednesday will not have reviews on them anymore. And because I have so much content on all my channels here, you are going to want to get subscribed to my link tree so you can get access to all of that. And you can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. Getting subscribed to my link tree is going to give you access to the YouTube page where you can catch the video versions of the show. Hit subscribe if you're watching there, to your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page where you can check out my written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, my TikTok page where you can catch short horror content including movie news and movie premieres, my Twitch page, which I'm going to get a lot more active on with my horror gaming. Remember, in the month of July, I'm going to start playing the original version of The Thing from PlayStation 2 back in the early 2000s. We got the remake coming this fall. Stay tuned for that. And of course, to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy 20% off anything in the Fangoria shop, including a subscription to the physical magazine itself. Hit that subscribe button so you can stay on top of everything I have coming out for all of you. And you're not going to want to miss it because in the month of July, we're going to be giving away the Tall Man Funko Pop. Now, I had talked about this not too long ago, how I picked one of these up myself here, and I had an extra one, and so I want to give that away to all of you. And so that is what we're going to do in the month of July. We're going to give away this Tall Man Funko Pop, which I suppose means that I got to do a review of Phantasm, so you can expect a Phantasm review coming out next month. But in order to enter, to have a chance to get this Tall Man Funko Pop for the great price of $3.99, all you have to do is comment on any video that I put out in the month of July. Now, I'll be a little bit more specific with that. Every single video I put out there, whether it's a review or a Wednesday episode, I'm gonna have obviously some kind of engaging question with y'all that I'm gonna want an answer to. All you gotta do, answer the question in the comment section. That gets you an entry. Now, you can only have 1 entry per video, but you can enter on every video that I put out. So if I put 1 million videos out there, you could potentially have 1 million entries. And at the end of July, I'll go and put them all together. We'll do a drawing, and the winner is gonna get a Funko Pop of the Tall Man. Maybe a copy of Phantasm as well. We'll kind of see the way that July works out. But the more y'all participate, the more I'm gonna give away. That's just the way that works out, just like the content with it. So, beyond that, what are we talking about here tonight? Well, as is tradition for the season finale, we are going to talk about the best in show of 2024 so far. It has been 6 months. We're halfway through the year, folks. We have had a lot of amazing horror and maybe some not so great horror come out as well over these last few months. And I'm here to kind of break down what I think at least are the ones that you can't miss. Now, we still have half a year in front of us, and I know that means we have more excellent horror coming out as well. But let's talk about what we've gotten in this year so far. And I'm going to start by highlighting a few honorable mentions that they were right there. They were this close, but they didn't make the top list here this time around. So I want to start with In a Violent Nature. This is a recent one I got to talk about. If you haven't seen the trailer for this one, this focuses on Johnny, a masked killer who has returned from the grave after his grave in his slumber is disturbed and seeks to take his revenge amongst those who woke him up and also regain possession of something that was lost to him. Now, the great thing about In a Violent Nature is that it is a love letter for any fans of old school slashers, where they love the lumbering, towering oaf who will just hack and slash and rip apart anybody that comes their way. This is a fantastic homage to those films of yesteryear, and I think it does an amazing job with it. The fact is, this movie goes the entire point of view from Johnny's perspective, from our killer, and because Johnny is a silent killer, most of the story is being told by the other characters that are around him, by the location, or just by props that we see wherever Johnny ends up traversing to. And we've seen point of view concepts from movie killers before, but it typically hasn't been the entire film, which is the reason why In a Violent Nature definitely stands out. There are some absolute insane kills. We're talking top of the year kills, top of all time kills mentioned and featured here in A Violent Nature that you have to see to absolutely believe it. But the one thing I will say is that as much as I loved it, we can't discount the fact that part of the charm of this film, again, is that you are a fan of this kind of film, that you're a fan of these kind of slashers. And the thing is that if you don't have a history with that, this could end up being a very, very polarizing movie, because people go and catch horror films that they know nothing about all the time. Random ones, they have fun with them, sometimes they hate them, whatever the case may be. But the thing is that a lot of times it's either a trailer that they've seen that got them interested in it, or a friend that really knows the type of movies that you're gonna like, so you go and check it out. And I think with In a Violent Nature, it's not really one of those movies that works for a casual crowd that doesn't watch these kinds of films. I think things like seeing Johnny traverse through miles and miles and miles of endless road is very tongue-in-cheek and meta and humorous and great for a lot of us. But again, if these aren't the kind of movies that you watch, it's just going to take you completely out of it, which is unfortunately the reason why it can't hit that top of list no matter what I have ranked it. So, In a Violent Nature, that should be hitting Shudder at any point. It literally should be sometime in the next month. This is hitting Shudder for you all to get a chance to check out. Definitely catch it when you get a chance to do so. What's next? Well, in the last year, we have gotten three nunsploitation films released theatrically. We're talking The Nun 2, Immaculate, and The First Omen. Now, we've had a chance to talk about all three of those movies. Nun 2, obviously, is not really a big part of this conversation, as that was last year, but Immaculate and The First Omen both came out within weeks of each other. And unfortunately, neither one of them, in my opinion, are going to end up on the best of list. Now, before you unsubscribe, before you cancel, before you close the browser out here, or close your phone, whatever you're watching on. I say browser because I still watch a lot of YouTube on my computer. But before you close it out, trust me, I understand. I know that The First Omen is on a lot of y'all's end of year lists already. I know Immaculate is getting very close on that list for a lot of y'all as well, too. I think they're both incredible films, but I don't think they're the top of what we've seen come out this year thus far. I have to take into account, when it comes to Immaculate and The First Omen, the fact that these films were released within weeks of each other. No, we can't blame the filmmakers, the cast, and the crew for that, but that is the reality of the situation. And the problem is that there's enough connective tissue, there is enough similarities between those two films, so the problem is that they can kind of cancel each other out here. I think Immaculate does a phenomenal job with Sydney Sweeney. I think she is amazing in the film. It's her best performance in anything she's been a part of to date, but the material doesn't serve her in the best of ways like it really could, I feel. I think that she is given some great opportunities to really flex those acting skills that she truly does have, and I think that the last 5 to 7 minutes of that film and that guttural, visceral scream she lets out is one of the best things I've seen on screen ever. but I just don't feel that the rest of the story serves her the way that it really should. When it comes to like who's ultimately behind what's going on, it took me a bit out of it. It was refreshing from what you could probably expect from a lot of similar other projects for sure, but the issue is that it's not that different from what we've already seen in the past before, and that really deflated some of the wind in the sails for me on this one. Really enjoy it, but it did not scream top of for me. And with the first Omen, again, amazing performances in that film for sure. I love the fact that they did a good job of really making it seem like it is a prequel to the original Omen as well too. But the issue ultimately with it is that I'm such a huge fan of the Omen franchise, whether it's the original and the sequels or whether it's the remake. I'm a big fan of this franchise, and the problem is that there's just enough that happens in this story that makes it not work that well for me for those other movies. If this is truly supposed to be a prequel to The Omen and Damien and the final conflict, if that's really the case of what this is supposed to be, the problem is that there's enough in this film that kind of invalidates what some of the stuff in Damien and kind of invalidates a lot of the stuff in the first conflict. And I'm really at this point, y'all, to where if we're doing these prequels and sequels and legacy sequels and whatever to all these franchises, you got to work with what's there at this point. Like, am I going to see the movie? Absolutely. But I'm so tired of it at this point that you can't embrace what's there and just make it work. Just do it. Just do it at this point, or reboot the entire goddamn thing, okay? After the Halloween trilogy, I think that really changed a lot of things for a lot of folks. And I enjoy the Halloween trilogy, but I also enjoyed the Jamie Lloyd timeline of Halloween. I enjoy the H2O timeline of Halloween, even though I'm not a big H2O fan. I enjoy Rob Zombie's Halloween stuff. Like, all of that is good. It doesn't change the fact, though, that ultimately I would have preferred a continuation of the Jamie Lloyd storyline. Never gonna get it. Never going to happen. The Omen, they had a chance. They had a chance to go back and kind of like fit a little bit more succinctly into what the rest of the story calls for, and they didn't do that. And for me, that is a massive disappointment. And I know a lot of you aren't going to care about that. That is fine. That is fine. Everybody's got to have their own hill to die on, folks. And for me, that's my hill with that. I can't take it as well as everybody else did when this movie kind of cuts down all those other films at that point. Great performances aside, just the way it is. And then finally, Arcadian, a movie I have talked about so much that I was shocked by how much I ended up enjoying it, honestly, because number one, I was still in the mindset of it's a Nick Cage movie in 2024. Realistically, how good could it be? Honestly, what am I doing? And that was dumb, because a Nick Cage movie in 2024 has a higher chance of being good than it has a higher chance of being bad. And I should have known better, because the last 5 or 6 new Nick Cage movies I've watched have all been good. So that's on me for really forgetting that Nick Cage is that one. But number two, I also discounted it as well because of the film's kind of the release history as well, because while it is getting this it got this theatrical release, just a month or so ago, it was doing the festival circuit for a while. And again, dumb for me, because I should know better from doing this show for years at this point, that stuff being on the festival circuit a lot of times is a really good indicator for it. And for some reason I discounted that and chose to take that as that's going to make this a bad movie. Can't look at it, can't deal with it at all. And then number three being the limited theatrical run with that as well. And that's a big one that I should have thought better of, because how many of these horror films that have been amazing in the last few years only get a weekend theatrical run and that's it? I should have known better about that. For some reason I discounted it. But I think that Arcadian tells one of the more succinct stories we've had all year. I think that if you're looking for something to kind of get you in the same place as A Quiet Place, with the new movie coming out and everything, this fit perfectly with it, but we also get a different dynamic because in A Quiet Place is very much about all the people who are still alive having to be quiet in order to live. Didn't matter if it's day or night. Whereas here in Arcadian, the whole idea with all these monsters is that they're only coming out at night, so you're relatively safe during the day. Nicolas Cage gets put in a rather subdued performance, which actually brings out some really, really great stuff for him, honestly. And then the relationship between his two sons is very realistic because we get a chance to see that no matter what's going on, boys will still be boys. Kids are still going to be kids and have the same kind of interests and desires that kids do. And that doesn't stop just because it's the end of the world. And I just was enthralled with this movie. It's one of my favorites that came out this year, but unfortunately, there were just better ones that came out after it. So I couldn't leave it at the top of the list. So these are going to be some of the best ones this year that just didn't make the list. And if you guys come back for part 2 of this show, I will talk about the 5 films that I think actually make the best of what we've seen this year thus far. So go and check out a lot of these honorable mentions that I brought up to you, except for In a Violent Nature, because it's not streaming anywhere yet. If by chance you happen to be in an area to where it still might be playing in theaters, definitely go and check it out. But let me know in the comment section your thoughts on some of these honorable mentions that I've talked about. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's on your list so far for the best of 2024? And stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, because I'll have part 2 of this show coming for y'all very, very soon, along with a review of A Quiet Place Day 1. That's it for tonight, though, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared. Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So, if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022 and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.